there around the new base somewhere, maybe?
I'll have to check that address out. Yeah, I thought that was, if it wasn't room, I thought.
Ready to go?
Holiday Inn in Dan Moore.
Say, where's Michelle? You're up there.
Well, in the corner. Yeah. It's generally the way to go. Let's head that way.
Brian,
Got that house up there.
There's my sheet.
We found about 77 acres at Altoona, Coach Walmart College. I said, well,
Everybody ready to begin? So let's begin this work session for today's Common Council for the City of Plattsburgh, June 15th, 2017. At this part of the meeting, for the first half hour, we have extended discussion of any of the items in the agenda that people would like to have further discussion, discourse with the department heads, the public, etc. I will bring to your attention one item that I would recommend amending it slightly in work sessions. We won't have to do an amendment instead during the Common Council. That's item E. As you know, the DRI has given us $10 million, well actually $9.7 million. $300,000 of that was used for consultants to get it to the stage that the Department of State would pass it. With the arrival of the Lieutenant Governor in the city just a couple of weeks ago to give us the final okay, we're now ready to start in on this. As we've discussed, they allowed us a little bit of capacity building money on a short-term temporary basis to get the staffing level we need to implement the various things that Paul DiDomenicos has been working on with you all for some time now. At this point, we would like to appoint somebody for a 12-month term paid for ultimately from DRI funds. This is a local individual with a fair amount of experience in these matters. He'd be permitted with civil service and mayor's approval to have a 6-month additional appointment, so it could last from approximately July 1, ultimately to December 31st of next year, but it's only a 12-month appointment at this time. This is as a civil service requirement. But what we'd like to amend is to make sure it's understood that as a temporary position, this is notwithstanding any existing city policies or agreements regarding management compensation. This is different from the regular pay scales, et cetera, that we're working with. So I'd like to interject those words, notwithstanding any existing city policies or agreements regarding management compensation, at the beginning of that motion when it comes to the floor during discussion. Okay. Would you like to have any additional discussion on this?
I don't know the individual. What are his qualifications?
He's
we have to discuss that in personnel if we wanted to get
Do we?
too much in depth.
Executive session.
Can we go to executive session?
You could if you wish.
I'd like
Would
to.
you like to?
Absolutely.
Okay. Would you like to do it at this time, or would you like to discuss some of your other items first?
We could maybe do other items.
We can do other items.
Okay. It should be a pretty short executive session. So how about if we discuss any other items, then we'll go for a very short executive session. I wish I knew that. I would have cleaned up my office a little bit more. Anything else you'd like to have a little bit more discussion on?
Mayor, I'd just like to thank John Ruff for answering all of my questions about his two grant proposals. He did a really, really thorough job of explaining. So there's a whole lot of detail, and he also bulleted all the things. So it was very helpful, John. Thank you so much for doing that. And it's obvious you've done your homework already because you put the numbers together so quickly. I assume you already knew all this stuff.
We've worked on this for a while. It's an ongoing process, too. So.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for doing that.
Any other items you'd like to have a little bit more discussion on? How about if we go to executive session then, and then we can come back and further in discussion. Presumably we'll still have some extra time when we come out. So would anybody like to make a motion to entertain executive session to discuss a personnel matter with regard to the possible position to fulfill our DRI implementation? Moved by Counselor Ansel, second by Counselor Dowdle. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Back in 5 or 10 minutes.
Michelle,
Thank
I'll
you.
call you.
What's that? Good day, Oh, yeah. What was the final number? Do you remember? On I know, I should have there. Okay, yeah. I know the pet's names. I do that. Well, as I said, the pet's name usually a couple of times in the appointment. I just say, Great. Wow. Oh, because I know, and I was not involved this year, I did probably have new. But I go with hot me. Look at all your stuff.
Okay.
No, that's not signed. That's fine. Their signs on it. I think you were.
That one's gonna be signed.
Actually,
15 minutes. My sentence are running currently.
I have no idea.
He didn't do any, right now. Okay.
I'm certainly doing to climb. Is there an advantage to a municipality or to bond exchange? Oh, so it's not one big bond, it's a series of serial bonds. What my numbers? I just use a standard capital recovery plan, which is, I don't know what the principal interest is. I'm sure that's a concern to you and mine, to me. This one, how much we're gonna do? So you figure out, see, there's a rate increase.
It's so much better not doing this on the car show.
Got this not engineer over there. Yeah, some cash flows. Like on the sewer fund, not a big deal, we have fund balance covered. But on the water side, we don't have the $10,000 leeway. And a bigger bond payment now, in a smaller amount, does not help us. So I'm gonna adjust that.
I met with
All right, I guess I want it to make sense to have a series of bonds because we can pay off the principal over and done, right? On this wastewater application, we're applying for, we're also looking at revolving fund. Hopefully get subsidized or hardship. It's not hardship, but they don't charge interest. No, we're not working with
You know what?
that worked out.
60% of New York State
I'm still finding issues like that. Oh, yes, we kept that. We kept that. So basically, we got like 75% rent.
So let's resume. We're coming out of executive session. We were discussing a personnel issue regarding an appointment we'll be making to temporarily staff our downtown revitalization initiative grant work. And no decisions were made in that meeting. Any other items that you would like to discuss further? Sometimes, please.
Yeah, well, it's something that's not on the agenda, so I don't know if it, but regarding the emails with the purchase orders, the signature of the purchase orders with specifically recreation and I believe some of the other departments. I'm wondering if you could maybe tell us why the purchase orders haven't been signed or what?
They're relating to improvements in the various parks to move to this policy where the parks will essentially be more self-administered by the individual leagues. I believe there's a little bit of growing pains to still work out on that, so I'd like to have a little bit further discussion before we reinvest in an entirely different regime and just to find that we're backtracking. So I don't think that it's finally fixed yet, in my opinion, so I've been asking for more information.
Now, we discussed this here at council, 3 weeks ago?
Mm-hmm.
Now, my understanding that the main part of this is simply to reduce part-time staffing and put in an automated security system. And I remember the conversation because there was discussion as to that people wouldn't be trapped. You could get out, but you couldn't get back in. So how does that have to relate to leagues taking over? Because we authorized a transfer of funds.
You did.
And wouldn't it yield like about a $25,000 savings?
Right.
savings,
So,
Right.
I just want to make sure it's implemented well. For instance, one thing we needed to make sure is anybody who has a key understands the responsibility with it, because if that somehow wasn't done according to what was supposed to happen, ultimately isn't the city going to be responsible for it? So we had to have Dean work with us to have some sort of memorandum of agreement with all the people that are given keys, and that hadn't been done. It has been, I think that you're at a point now where you're comfortable with some sort of
It
agreement?
hasn't been signed yet. Steve sent me a draft of it, so.
Yeah.
but I thought the money was for an automated system that doesn't have keys.
Well, if it doesn't have keys, it still has combinations, it still has access. So we want to make sure that people have access to it, understand their responsibilities.
Steve, do you mind explaining what the system is?
Sure.
Sure.
The point is to remove keys from our system. We have very, very few coordinators right now with keys, maybe 3 or 4 out there. People that we've known for a very long time that we trust. They don't open and close the bathrooms. They're actually gate keys. so that we don't have to have staff on hand to open Penn Field, football field, for example, for the soccer program that's using it. There's only a few out there, so.
And those were keys to just unlock restrooms?
Just unlock the gates.
The gates to the
field.
To the space. So that is not covered by the MOU yet, that Dean and I are working on that specifically for Little League, to come up with an understanding.
With the lights
with the lights that they've put in and kind of how they use their field now a little differently with that. So the system that we're working on that we'd like to have in there is an automatic locking system that would, lock the doors at a specified time, so that our staff doesn't have to physically do it every night.
And these are, I'm sorry, these are the gates or the restrooms?
These are the restrooms.
These are the restrooms.
Yeah. So that bill has come out to, I've had 4 different sources down. 3 of them local or regional, 1 of them online, and we would install it, but that's not going to work out very well and was more expensive. And so it's about $8,000 or thereabouts to get all of our parks done in this manner, so that they would automatically lock. And what we found is, when it gets dark, especially this time of year is a little different because it's, we're right at the solstice. But as it gets dark earlier, the only users in our parks are generally the leagues that are there with the lights. And so we need to leave the restrooms open for them, and we take on a considerable expense staffing the parks to be able to basically wait until the game is over to turn out the lights and to lock the bathrooms. So what we want to be able to do is have the lights be able to automatically go off at a certain time, or have the referees, if there are referees, turn them off. And also have those door locks lock automatically. And the amazing part is the considerable savings that's come through when you start looking at really how we spend our time and our money. The situation I have right now is, because of these changes, I was advocating for them because I'm really anticipating, of course, what we've all been talking about is this budget struggle that we're encountering. I did not hire, because we moved $25,000 from temp payroll to this equipment line. I did not hire 3 parks laborers to do the work that we normally do in the parks. And right now, I've got 3 guys, 7 days a week on rotating schedules, covering 15 hours a day. Because we're still in this transition phase on that league policy, field policy that we implemented. And we don't have the resources yet to, lock the doors and turn the lights off the way we want to. So that's the struggle I have right at the moment.
So because it was authorized for you to be able to install these locks, you planned your staffing accordingly, and now you're short-handed because you don't have the infrastructure?
Yes. Very succinct way of putting what I just said.
And that's why you've asked, if it's not going to get signed, to switch it back.
Yeah, so then I can put the guys back on and make the have the coverage that we need. And what happens is, if I got a guy who either has the right to, by the way, take a vacation day, or if he gets sick, I got both of my 2 workers have little kids, and you know how that can happen. I then have no coverage. I have nobody to do that. So I'm putting somebody on overtime, or we lock them up early. That's what we've done. So one of those 2 things.
So this really has nothing to do with the actual maintenance of the parks or so on?
It does, in that I can't allocate the staff in the right way to do that kind of work, because they're spending their time in the
Locking
evening
up.
hours. There's a number of things that we do.
Trickle
that
down.
You gotta have one guy at the other end of the line when they're lining the field, or, so I've gotta have multiple guys on at a time, or cover different parts at the same time.
So with
it's-
regard to the locks themselves,
Yeah.
it's programmed by whom? The company?
Yeah, they would program it with us. It has the capability, if we wanted to Wi-Fi it, we could then do it all, from one central location. But we do think, I think that, it's gonna be fairly standard in terms of when they would lock. We encounter issues in certain days, we'll start to, kind of tweak it a little bit. And then, we'll be able to, kind of hone that in.
And who would have access to the programming? To the programming of the locks in the bathrooms?
That's just us.
Okay.
That would be me, or the installer, who works on other things with us for security.
These things fail all the time.
They can.
What do you do to prevent failover, and then what do you do to deal with failover when it happens?
They're on battery backup systems, so if there's a power issue, they don't fail in that sense, they don't automatically open. you know, we've talked about it with the installer about, you know, how this might work, and there certainly is, just like with anything, there's some finite opportunities for, you know, vandalism or something that may cause an issue. But we're checking them every day. So, you know, the parks can open at 7 a.m., the locks can open at 7 a.m. to take care of those park needs, and actually we could even have it earlier for those dog walkers and those early morning folks that we're not serving right now. But we are still sending staff to every park every day, first thing in the morning, what we call Feast the Parks. That's their first goal. Getting the trashes, cleaning everything up, restocking, you know, making sure there's no issues. They're gonna be checking the doors and all of that.
Checking the new locks to make
Yeah.
sure they're
So
working.
that still has to happen. You know, we have that, an incredible responsibility there. So.
You had sheds in the proposal too. Can you tell us a little bit about those?
I'm sorry.
Sheds?
Sheds, yes. So we have some equipment that we need to purchase in order for these various leagues to maintain their own fields, and I can attest to it that it works, because on Tuesday, my son's game in Peru, grabbing the rake out of their shed and taking care of the field, and you know, I'm an assistant coach for him, and so that's how we expect it to work. It happens there. We want it to happen here. So we have this storage area that's combo locked with minimal equipment in it of lower value. You know, so we want to have the coaches, the league coordinators have access to those so they can go rake their own fields. We've got instructions that went along with that policy. The field chalker, you know, for baseball, for lacrosse, we've actually had some great conversations where they do want to line their own fields, not line them if it's bare, but we have to line them first, and they'll go over them just to save money. We think that's a great compromise. We want to see that happen. They take ownership in it, and so that probably this fall you'll see a tweak to that policy that I'm meaning to ask you to approve. And so, you know, that's what we expect to have happen is, you know, what happens in many other communities around the state, around the country is those leagues that are getting these public facilities are free. What they specifically need, like lining fields, shouldn't be the burden of the taxpayer.
And who would have access to the combinations?
Just those league coordinators. Yeah. You know,
Oh,
and I've got the code for the one in Peru, and I'm not going to go steal a rake.
And I'm assuming you could change those codes if ever you had to.
Yes, anytime we needed to. So, you
Are
know, in
those-
that sense, when you're saving $25,000 and somebody decides to steal a $20 rake, okay, we're gonna have to live with those types of things. But, you know, in general, we're going with the 99% of people that would never think of doing something like that.
Are the sheds sufficiently durable to withstand winters and abuse and all that?
Yeah, I have one myself. First of all, I didn't think we could afford the $1,500 shed, the things that are really expensive. For exactly that reason, they will degrade over time. There will be some issues. The wooden ones are more expensive. We're going with plastic. It's at least not going to burn down. And so we want that to, you know, be in our parks. They look good. We'll get them set up and lined appropriately.
And you're comfortable with the state of the memo, the legal issues at this point?
It's in a solid form right now. I just have to make some final tweaks on it in a couple days.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Little League was pretty happy with it too. They're glad to see that, you know, one of those like, here, we've got some lights, wait a minute, who owns them? So we worked that out and made sure that they will have use, we will have use, and, you know, that kind of thing. So.
Any further questions?
No, I guess,
No,
I would
hope we
just
can move on it.
yeah, encourage
Okay.
you to sign off on the POs.
Sure.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks. Any other issues on the agenda you'd like to have a little bit longer discussion on? Seeing none, then let's start with the regular meeting of the Common Council by our Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Reed.
Present.
Councilor Here. Councilor Kelly.
Here.
Councilor Dowdle.
Here.
Councilor Engel.
Here.
Councilor Casper.
Here.
Councilor Hudson.
Here.
Thank you. I'd like to begin by, this is just a beautiful day in Plattsburgh. Summer's obviously here. I'm very grateful that tonight we're going to be taking the first step in really implementing the DRI. And any of you who haven't had a chance, please go around the corner and see that the Highway Oil Building is now halfway down. And And the tarmac is all lifted up, and I can just imagine some park benches there in just a week or two's time, so that's wonderful. You also see in the agenda that we're contemplating the application for a major grant that Engineer Ruff spoke about a moment ago. This is really exciting because it also affords us an opportunity to help start to begin to revitalize and take back that area which we call the Dock Street Triangle, Dock Street Landing area. Many of these improvements that we would have funded if we're successful in receiving this grant are improvements also in aesthetics, in odor control, as well as in processing of the sewage so it's better treated before it goes into the lake, which we all cherish. So I'm really glad that you've outlined to the council and the public some of the ideas down there. And these are, by the way, just the beginning. There's other ideas, other grant funding that can help alleviate some of the burden on the city as part of this as well. So very excited about this. Yesterday I went to an amazing pageant of second graders at Momont Elementary. It was really, really fun. You'd all would have been proud of all those 7-year-olds there. It was really moving in a couple of ways. First of all, the diversity of the kids in elementary school these days. They have long names, hyphenated names, multicultural names. They came from so many different backgrounds, and I think it really reminds us what we're here for. We're really here to create an environment for them to be able to live and thrive and get educated and be kept safe by our first responders that we appreciate so much. It was really great to imagine a community coming around and protecting and nurturing these young people. So it was really a lot of fun to see yesterday. And I also have to report to you just on the last week or so, we've had a number of discussions of cooperation amongst different entities of government. You already know we're having the shared services discussions with the county right now. Those are coming along. I had additional conversations with Administrator Zerlo just today. We're working with the city and the school district. You all passed a resolution of cooperation with the school district. And the school district and the county are a little bit different than the county and the city overlap in our boundaries. But the city and the school district exactly share the same boundaries and a lot of the same interests, including we share the same tax base. So we're seeing a lot of cooperation and shared services ideas with them as well as with the county, and I find that really exciting as well. And at the same time, I mentioned those 7-year-olds, the police chiefs of the university, our own police chief, and the sheriff will all be meeting tomorrow to discuss the model that the sheriff or the city police have already had on community policing. As you know, our police chief Parkinson's a big advocate for community policing, and they have quite an interesting, nice model. It's about 11 years old, 2006, that predated a lot of the discussion and concerns in our community about diversity, how they want to give, or they may want to keep safe any vulnerable population without regard to their race or creed or color or accent or sexual preference, etc. And so we're going to have further discussions with all the various chiefs and come up with a best practice for us all to make sure that everybody in our community feels safe. And I applaud the 3 chiefs for being willing to have such a groundbreaking, progressive statement on what we're all about. So that's all I have to say to bring you up to speed. Of course, I can answer any questions or reserve those until the times when you make your liaison reports as well. Seeing none, I don't think we'll see some minutes of previous meeting until our beloved Secretary Beth Carlin is back on vacation as of Monday, so there's a little bit of a pause there. We've obviously missed her a lot, but Sylvia has been helping out in her absence as well. But you'll see her at the next meeting. And in the meantime, Sylvia can continue on with the agenda.
Resolved that the payrolls of the various departments of the city of Plattsburgh for the week ending June 14th, 2017 in the amount of $98,638.68 are authorized and allowed, and the mayor and the city clerk are hereby empowered and directed to sign warrants drawn on the city chamberlain for the payment thereof.
Moved by Councillor Casper and second by Councillor Kelly. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed.
Resolved that the reports as listed are hereby ordered, received, and placed on file among the public records of the city clerk's office.
Moved by Councillor Ensel and seconded by Councillor Dowdle. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed.
Resolved that the bills audited by the Common Council for the week ending June 16, 2017, in the amount of $655,000 and $655,482.13 are authorized and allowed, and the mayor and city clerk are hereby authorized and directed to sign warrants drawn on the city chamberlain for the payment thereof.
Moved by Councilor Dowell, and second by Councilor Kelly. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. This is an opportunity for any members of the public who would like to address the council on issues related to the agenda to come forward at this time. And we'll also have another opportunity at the end of the meeting for you to bring to the council issues unrelated to the agenda. So please come forward if you like. Seeing none, let's continue.
Whereas by resolution dated May 25th, 2017, the City of Plattsburgh Common Council declared its intention to act as lead agency.
I'd like to move that we waive the reading and move the resolution.
Moved by Councilor Casper, second by Councilor Ensel. Discussion to waive. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Discussion on the item itself. Prepared to vote? Okay. Roll call, please.
Councilor Armstrong?
Yes.
Councilor Kelly?
Yes.
Councilor Dowdle?
Yes.
Councilor Ensel?
Yes.
Councilor Casper?
Yes.
Councilor Cretzer?
Yes. Whereas the City of Plattsburgh, Clinton County, New York, hereinafter the city, has established the public benefit to city residents of the Drinking Water Improvement Project herein the project, and whereas the city plans to replace the most critical age
I'd
city...
like to move that we waive the reading and move the resolution.
Moved by Councilor Casper, second by Councilor Ensel. All in favor of waiving?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. This is the item we discussed in work session. Any other questions you might have for the engineer? Seeing none, roll call.
Councilor Armstrong?
Yes.
Councilor Kelly?
Yes.
Councilor Dowdle?
Yes.
Councilor Ensel?
Yes.
Councilor Casper?
Yes.
Councilor Cretzer?
Yes. Whereas the City of Plattsburgh, Clinton County, New York, hereinafter the city, has established the public benefit of city residents of the
I'd
wastewater
like to
improvement...
move that we waive the reading and move the motion.
Thank you, Rochelle.
Moved by Councilor Ensel, second by Councilor Kelly. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Any discussion on the item?
You didn't trust me, did you?
It wasn't me.
Any additional questions for the engineer? Roll call.
Councilor Armstrong?
Yes.
Councilor Kelly?
Yes.
Councilor Dowdle?
Yes.
Councilor Ensel?
Yes.
Councilor Casper?
Yes.
Councilor Cretzer?
Yes. Resolved in accordance with the request, therefore the Common Council approves MLD to write off unpaid final bills from March 1st, 2016 to March 31st, 2016 in the total amount of $5,740.96. The percentage of write-offs for this period is 0.28%.
Moved by Councilor Ensel, second by Councilor Kelly. Discussion. Roll call.
Councilor Armstrong?
Yes.
Councilor Kelly?
Yes.
Councilor Dowdle?
Yes.
Councilor Ensel?
Yes.
Councilor Casper?
Yes.
Councilor Cretzer?
Yes.
Okay. This next item, please note that you amended this in work session to add notwithstanding any existing city policies or agreements regarding management compensation, and the rest stands. Do I have a motion to, or no discussion? Do I still?
You still have to go through normal process, there's no discussion after it's moved.
Mayor Reed, oh, do I have to read it or no?
No? Yeah, sure, you can read it if you, unless it's
And
way.
you have the new language too to add in.
Yeah, I've already stated the new language, if you just want to continue on.
Mayor Reed requests concurrence from the council to appoint Joel Wood as a temporary full-time project coordinator in the mayor and community development offices at an annual salary of $41,322 effective June 14th, 2017. This position is to be funded entirely by the DRI grant and is set for a term of 12 months with the possibility of renewal for an additional 6 months. Other terms and duties are set forth in the employment offer letter.
Mr. Wood, I think I saw you, and I would like to stand up and say hello to everybody.
Yes, of course. So first and foremost, everybody, thank you, Mayor Reed and the city councilors
Excuse
for
me,
having me here.
Mr. Wood, would you mind going to the podium, please?
Of course, yes,
Just so
of
the people
course.
at home can hear you.
Oh, of course.
Would you ask Mike to fix the microphone?
Mike, can you fix the mic?
Fix the mic. Yes.
I do appreciate that.
Yeah, good job. He couldn't have done that.
Of course, MIKE gets on the MIC.
So, hello everyone. My name is Joel Wood. Like I was saying, I want to thank Mayor Reed and the city councilors for having me here today and considering me for this position. I am a longtime, nearly my full life resident of Clinton County. I moved here when I was 2 years old, and I grew up in West Chazy, New York. Graduated from Beekmantown High School, and then attended SUNY Plattsburgh University, where I graduated with an economics and political science degree in 2016. Before graduating, I did take a position with the Plattsburgh District Office of Congresswoman Elise Stefanik, where I've been for nearly 2 years now as a constituent liaison and caseworker, meaning that I primarily assist individuals with federal agency issues. I help veterans reclaim VA benefits. If individuals have problems or difficulties with the IRS or any other federal agency, I help seek amenable resolutions and solutions to those problems. I fulfill a lot of other roles there, roles and responsibilities, and in discussions with Mayor Reed over the past few weeks, I've determined that I would be very much interested in taking this position and helping the city in whatever way possible to implement this grant with projects large or small. And if you have any questions, please let me know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for your introduction.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So let's ask for a roll call, please.
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Dowdle?
Yes.
Counselor Enzo?
Yes.
Counselor Casper?
Yes.
Counselor Kretzer?
Yes.
Congratulations. No travel requests at this time. Do I have any resolutions for initial consideration? Councilor Kelly.
I don't know quite how to bring this up, so I'm just going to wade right in and hope for the best, okay? It has been brought to my attention that our management team is due a semi-annual longevity payout.
Could you, Mike, I didn't understand here the first part of what you said.
About me wading in, or?
No.
Okay. I forgot.
The management team, okay. I didn't.
Our management team, yes,
Okay.
our management team has, or at this point in time, expects a semi-annual payout for longevity, and it's something that we've done since 1990. But it was also recently pointed out to me that resolution needs to be refreshed. So I've come up with a resolution for initial consideration tonight. And since Josh has such a good speaking voice, I'm going to ask him if he would read it for us.
Okay.
Would you mind, Josh?
No, that's all right.
Okay. I hope you can read my writing.
Good luck.
Don't feel any pressure.
Resolved, City of Plattsburgh intends to make a management semi-annual compensation increase as included in the current budget, but imposes a moratorium on such future payments, compensations, and benefits pending a future review by the Common Council in consultation with the Mayor's office.
So why the moratorium? Why the moratorium?
Do you want a second and then have discussion?
It's only for initial.
This is initial.
For initial.
Okay.
So
To get it on the table.
I think it's okay to have discussion.
Okay, and then if you do want a motion, then you'd have to invoke Rule 4.
We can discuss.
Mainly the idea is to, we all, or I especially, I'll speak only for myself, but I hate having these things sprung on me at the last moment. And this one, just came up in the last couple days. So the purpose of a moratorium would be to come up with a new resolution that we all can discuss thoroughly and agree upon.
I'm confused as to, you said this came up to you in the past couple of days.
Yes.
And you said that you became aware that we need to refresh a resolution.
Yes.
Now, in 3.5 years, I
We
don't
had-
recall
we
doing
had-
that.
Well, I didn't. I personally, the last time that I heard about this payout was during the Casper Zach era. That was the last time I heard about it, and that would have been in 2009, 10, something like that. So it's just an opportunity for us to first acknowledge our managers and provide their semi-annual compensation increase, but then also to discuss how those payouts are going to happen in the future going forward.
Do we have a dollar amount or figure on what the?
I think it was what, approximately $58,000?
56.9.
How this came up is a couple of days ago, I saw this big, long list of things I'm supposed to sign off on and approve. Just like I always say to Ann, I say, what's the basis? Am I allowed to sign this? And she's explained to me earlier that all the various increases for the CBA, the collective bargaining agreement, we're compelled to. Even if one council agrees to a collective bargaining agreement, even though you change to another council maybe a year later, they're still compelled or bound by state law to that collective bargaining agreement. So I understood that. She explained that to me a few months ago. So then a couple days ago, I saw this another list. So I asked her the same question, what's the basis for me to sign that? So then I asked Dean, and Dean can probably explain the law a little bit better than me. But in the consultation with Dean and Mr. Kremer, we thought the safest way was to have it resolved each time. However, there's a strong expectation on the managers that they receive this bonus on June 15th and December 15th of this year. Today's June 15th, we only found out about June 13th, so I didn't want to delay paying them. So if I had my druthers, I'd like to see, because it's already budgeted for, to actually continue on with paying them this time, but give you an opportunity to reflect on this in time to make a resolution for next time.
Well, my opinion on that is, if we've been doing this, they have their money, they're supposed to get it, it's in the budget, they should get it, without having a resolution that in some way is going to be reflection on the future. I think those should be separated, and quite frankly, I would be completely opposed to any such resolution, discussing or voting on a resolution without us having had any opportunity to have a full discussion about this and having some kind of input from the managers, but they should be paid.
Okay, so I can't really disagree with that. I like the fact that, I've always said I like how we do the new business resolution for initial consideration and then we vote. So if you would like to follow that process, we can do that.
Well, I want to, but I want to make sure that they are paid what they are owed. They have not had raises in I don't know how long, so they at the very minimum deserve what they have been getting and what we are obligated to.
That's not the question. The question is the 1990 resolution that most of us haven't even seen, is it still in effect, and does it need tweaking?
Well, and Mike,
Why wouldn't it not be in effect?
But also, I'm sure Mike is also thinking that maybe we need to increase those numbers. Like, this is probably, it could be that you know, we need to review it to see.
We don't know.
Right.
Well,
I think that the managers would agree that they should get what they deserve right now,
Right.
and then we can talk about.
Nobody's disputing that at all.
Absolutely.
And this resolution does not do
It's
that.
tied into this, is that true? There is mention of this, the one that's upcoming?
It said, no, it says that we intend to make a managerial semi-annual compensation increase as included in the current budget.
Right.
But we
That
impose,
includes both June 15th and December 15th?
they're both in the current budget, so you could argue that includes both.
Okay.
But going forward, we impose a moratorium on future payments, compensation and benefits, pending a future review by the Common Council in consultation with the mayor's office. So all I'm saying is, let's do what we've been doing, but going forward, let's look at it and see if that's what we want to continue to do.
I don't even want to talk about it until I get the information that I need. Today is June 15th. It's in the budget.
And some of the discussion we had, Becky, was prior, where we paid, I think it was $6,000 to have the managerial salaries reviewed.
Right.
I learned a lot at that time. Some of it was good, not all of it was, but let me ask, I've heard longevity, I've heard payout, I've heard bonus. What is it? Is this a raise? Is this the only raise you get?
My understanding is that it's not an increase, it's part of the compensation package. So it's a longevity payment that's budgeted and it's been recurring. So I think to make the resolution accurate, the word increase should be deleted because it's not an increase.
Is it a step?
It's
Not a step, okay, good.
Keep you here as the manager.
While, yes, it's to keep you above what's happening,
How,
the negotiations. No,
how about if we were to say, rather than increase, we would say semi-annual compensation longevity payout? Does that sound okay?
What does it have to do with longevity?
I think for purposes of what you're trying to do, which seems like authorize that these payments that we were expecting to be made, that wording is sufficient. The moratorium part seems like it's another issue. I think, I speak for everybody, that would cause us a fair amount of concern. We'd like to be part of those discussions before any decisions would be made about taking a step like that.
I think that, it's perfect to introduce this under initial consideration because we're doing initial consideration about it, but I don't think it needs to be moved or acted on right now. And I think that we schedule a meeting when department heads and supervisors who are interested in being a part of the conversation can all be here.
Well, I think on that resolution, where it says between the council and the mayor, I think we should also include senior management.
So if you really feel we need a resolution to authorize the payments that are part of a compensation package.
You don't need that resolution to
No.
authorize those payments.
Okay, fine.
Not to make a payment.
We've made the payment since 1990 without any questions asked, and I would guess that none of us know what that 1990 resolution says.
Did the supervisors get their check today? Like they have for every year since 1990?
And we don't need a resolution for them to be compensated.
No.
Then they should be compensated.
From my understanding, the checks are cut and are waiting for,
Everything is ready to go.
that's not the issue. We're making a big issue out of really nothing,
Are all
except
the-
that let's have some future discussion about what to do with this.
Are all the supervisors here?
Not everyone knows.
So that means that some people aren't getting their check that they were anticipating today.
No, most of them are auto deposit.
Auto deposit? Okay.
Just press the button
That
today.
didn't happen with fire and the police because they were locked into a different management compensation.
Okay.
Which is just absolute, and I can tell you.
I think if we started here, we'd be a little better instead of mentioning now.
There is also, as Dale mentioned, we spent several months last year
And a compensation.
in conversations about what we can do to improve all the issues of managers' salaries for the benefit of recruitment and retention and fairness and equity and so forth. So there's a lot of information out there that needs to be a part of this discussion. So if we, I think I'm sorry, it seems like there's two simple points to me. One, they are entitled to their compensation. Two, they haven't been compensated yet. Three, a resolution is not required for the compensation. I don't see what else needs to happen here.
Could we have a resolution that states we will look at this in future council meetings?
Why can't we just look at it?
Yeah, why can't
And then
we? I don't
make
think we
make
need a resolution.
Once we've decided everything.
We don't need a resolution. I think we as a body can say we would like to look at it.
Well,
sit down
the
with
body
mayor
and
and- Well, not body, but there would be.
The body in 1990 made a resolution that we don't really know what's in there. So could we start by looking at that?
Well, we've got 16 committees already. Why not create another one and get together on it? I
No.
mean, I
This
don't want a
is
resolution that has the word moratorium on anything that's about fair compensation. That's,
Okay.
So we'll just put it on the schedule for work session.
you know, if we had work sessions, we can have, we talked about, we have a lot of budget work sessions. If we can have a work session like we used to before, where we brought up issues like this and had an open discussion with city managers, I think that would be wonderful. And so we can talk about these things with everyone's input.
Any other discussion? Any other counselor reports or new business?
Just like to mention, thank you, Bill, Tracy, and the MLD. I see the lights are up, the Little League.
Well, we're still wiring them up.
They're up.
They're up.
They look great.
And then once we
we get them all wired, Musco's gonna come out and make sure,
Focus them.
yeah, they're all at the right angles and everything. So I think we will be pretty much, well, I would have thought we'd be finished by tomorrow, but it looks like tomorrow's gonna be a washout day, so it'll probably be Monday next week.
Very good. And the only other thing I'd like to add is next weekend, FLW bass tournament here in Plattsburgh. Opening
You're gonna
ceremony
go
at the crate.
You and Josh are gonna go and speak to that, I understand. Thank you. Any other reports or new business? Seeing none, this is the opportunity for the public to please come up and address the council on any issue of council concern. Please.
Absolutely.
First of all, it's good to see one mayor's cup shirt in the room. And, if anybody's interested, I got about 50 of them in my truck. Come and see me. I want to speak just very briefly about the assessment issue that's up again in the city. I'm happy to see that the paper has taken a stand on this in yesterday's editorial. And of course, the discussion was, I'm not sure how old it is at the moment, but the discussion in my mind came up with the article in the paper from Renaissance Village asking for a reduction in assessment. What I passed out there was simply 2015, in fact, that's the night I met Colin Reed the first time, I came to speak against the deal that was given to College Suites from a $12 million to a $5.3 million assessment decrease. I prefer when people invest money, as I have, that you take a risk and you do business. You don't stiff your builder, which they did. You don't come to the city, you don't stiff the bank, which they did, United out of Albany, and then come to the city taxpayers and ask them to back you up. Unfortunately, we decided to do that. I think that set a terrible precedent. And I remember a comment from that night that bugs me still. They're having a hard time, let's give them another chance. What does that mean? That means on this piece of paper, when you look at the difference between 12 and 5 million, it cost me, the taxpayer, $248,000 a year in lost taxes. You say, well, they might have gone bankrupt. Well then, in my opinion, Ted Luck would have bought that to regain his $2 million bucks. He would have bought it at a bargain price and we'd have a solid landlord. We don't have that now. I know for a fact they put over $500,000 into renovating in the last 2 years, and it was nice of us to finance it. I don't think we need to get into that picture again. So my comment is, I also just put down a couple of numbers here today that were in the paper, but when College Suites got their charity thing back then, they went from when you figure, as the assessors often do, the assessment is based on per resident oftentimes. And the average around the city at that time is fairly close to $22,000 to $24,000 a year resident per tax level, per tax value. They went from a $23,400 down to a $13,000 figure with that charity that we gave them. Renaissance Village now is asking for, that represented a 58% decrease. I bring that up because it started a pattern, and I have less problem with the Imperial Mill that's gone. I have less problem with Vilas because I think we need to take care of our elderly, but I do have a problem with private investors, of which I am one. Renaissance is looking for a 30% reduction. Their per resident was about $24,000. They want to bring it down to $16,000. That will cost the taxpayers $53,000 and change per year. By the way, unless I'm mistaken, I don't know if we can back out of it. It's a question I'd like to have answered sometime. I'm familiar with a 7-year grace period that was given to college suites with a token increase after 3 years and 4 years. I'm wondering if, given that second chance, can we revisit that with a new assessment look? That's not a question we're going to answer tonight, but that's a question I'd like to know. And my point is simply that I invested in some property. I'm J.P. Snyder. I don't know a lot of you. 35-year resident of the city. I live now in Cliff Haven, practiced dentistry for 39 years. But I still own 3 parcels in the city. So I have a selfish interest here too. But my point is simply that I think this is a pattern that we cannot continue to follow. And I'm hoping that the council will keep that in mind. I realize we're in a legal situation right now. I don't know how that can be resolved. I'd just like to bring it to the attention from a taxpayer that we can't let that continue.
Thanks, Jay.
Thank you. I think I can tell you that, first of all, we want very fair and accurate commercial assessments. And as we're confident with those numbers, we want to defend them to the hilt. And I think you'll see that done more in the future. Thank you. Any other public comments? Mr. Conroy.
How are you guys doing?
How are you?
This is my first time coming to one of your meetings after joining the legislature. So I wanted to be here a lot over that time, but I haven't made it here yet. But now I'm here on non-legislator business. My name is Simon Conroy. I know a lot of you here. We all worked last year and the year before on the Downtown Rising project. That's something that my wife and I have given up, and there's new people doing it, and we're helping out a little bit. I think a lot of people have an idea of what I mean by that. Basically, Fledgling Crow Vegetables is organizing the vendors. Ryan Casey from Wager Brothers is organizing the music, and the Strand is hosting the site. So I know there was some issues last week with food trucks. I wasn't here. Nobody was here from the Downtown Rising organizers, of which I'm not one anymore. But I did just want to come in to try to settle up some confusion that might have happened. Basically, the event's called Downtown Rising, and from its origins, the plan was to bring more people downtown, and that was our original goal with it. Food trucks are an interesting component of it. It goes good with the music. It also goes good with the produce vendors and such. It creates a scene. We didn't really need to, I hate to say we, because I'm not part of it. I'm just trying to help smooth this out a little bit. There was no need to ask for specific parking spaces. There were 3 that were asked for. Most likely there would only be 2 food trucks down there at any one point in time. 3 spaces is enough to let 2 food trucks fit in. But we don't need to reserve any spots. Anybody who already has a food truck that has paid the permit can set up somewhere where they want in the downtown business district. Obviously, if they park in front of a business, the rule is they have to move within 15 minutes if they're blocking a business. Nobody's intention here is to cause any problem for any business. Bring more business downtown, more people downtown. Most likely, there'll be a food truck parked somewhere between the Westel Park and the Strand Lawn. Shouldn't be in front of any business, shouldn't be any issue to anybody. If anything, it's kind of a deal maker for the event, because part of what people come down for is the fun of having a food truck there, and people will still go and buy pints of beer across the street and coffees across the street, and walk around town, visit the other market, all that. But I just wanted to see if anybody had any questions for me. That's what I'm here for.
Any questions?
I guess my question is, I still don't see the relationship between how having food vendors really creates an atmosphere, or why it's an attraction.
Right.
I mean, people are coming down for the music and
Right.
and what have you. I just don't see what
Right.
the added food truck brings.
So, half of the beauty, by the way, thank you to the city of Plattsburgh for letting us do the early years of this at Trinity Park. It's incredible, and it allowed it to succeed to this point. It's nice to have nearby food businesses. It's quoted as a food, music, and art event. So it's nice, last year people going across the street to Iris's or over to the Pepper or wherever they went. So that's part of the food, but really the food, music, art is about food being vended in kind of a unique way. And people love to come down and see what food trucks here this week. They like to come down and get what produce they want, see what bands here. It's part of the attraction that builds the event. And generally, cities that are successful have food trucks, and I think it's great that you guys approved, you fine-tuned your food vending for food trucks, the permit. So anybody who does sell, they paid their fee, they've done all their paperwork, and that's their business. And food's an important part of the event, and food trucks are something that's helping with downtown rising, meaning something that's helping bring new people downtown.
Thank you.
Any additional questions?
Simon, will you be parked on the Margaret Street side?
I won't be parked anywhere, but I'm out of the food business. All right.
The side of the West Elm.
Ideally, they'll be right against the park.
Right.
They're part of the event, and they're not in front of any business. And it's just one truck generally, so it doesn't block West Elcom Parks, because we still want people to go back and forth from the two markets.
And it continues to be Lamelli's and the ice cream truck?
Right now, Lamelli's are the only people committed for the season, and the ice cream truck will potentially be one of the rotating trucks.
Rotating trucks,
Yeah.
right. I mean, my major concern, I really had to agree with the compelling argument Kyle Fire made at Happy Park business. I don't, I wish luck regarding your other location. I think it will enhance the scene.
Awesome. There was never an intention to park in front of anyone's business, and that's why I'm here, is because sometimes problems happen when there's not full communication. So there's never an intention to park in front of anybody's business. Although it's interesting because Kyle, the first week, there was a big band truck left that transported the band in between his place and the park, so it kind of separated the event from the business across the street. So that was a mistake. Normally that would be left with truckless, so there's room for parking.
Well, thank you for clarifying.
Thank you. And again, thank you all. This has been a multi-year process that I'm just kind of getting out of, but it's fun to see it living on.
Thank you.
Thank you, Simon.
Any other public comments? Seeing none, do I have a motion to adjourn? Moved by Councilor Kelly, seconded by Councilor Dowdle. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Thank you. Thanks for you all for coming.
I'm putting you in charge.
Roll call on the adjournment.
Oh, roll call on adjournment.
If we have to go
Oh, yeah, we need to roll call.
Roll call on the adjournment.
Everybody's roll call for adjourn? Adjourn. Roll call.
Aye.
Armstrong? Kelly?
Yes.
Dowdle?
Yes.
Ensel? Casper?
Yes.
And Kretzer?
Yes.
How about your pen for a second? I'll give you both of them. I got one. I got one, thanks. Thanks for having all that ready to go. Okay, there you go. Okay.
Why were you so opposed?
See you later. Good luck.
They're getting their 7
Uh-huh.